Decades of World Cup rivalries have delivered classic goals and iconic drama, but a few notorious matches have crossed the line, turning football into an ugly show. From the infamous Hand of God against England to the boiling tensions against Egypt and the record-breaking number of yellow cards and sheer hostility during the match versus Netherlands, did Argentina earn its place in football history, or were its opponents robbed in broad daylight? Well, guys, in this video, you and we're gonna go back through 3 of Argentina's most controversial World Cup matches. And so here we have the quarterfinal against the Netherlands in the 2022 FIFA World Cup, a round 16 match against Egypt in FIFA's 2026 World Cup, and the semi-final against England in FIFA 2026. And now we will break them down, in order, incident by incident, looking at the disputed calls and the notorious behavior of the evil Argentinian players. And let's dive right into it. So, for decades, Argentina was admired by football fans all around the world. The country produced players like Maradona, Batistuta, Riquelme, Di Maria, and Messi, greats of the game known for creativity, technique, and the kind of football people paid to see. But you see, my friends, during these major World Cup matches, neutral admiration began to mix with frustration. Critics saw another side of Argentina. Players surrounding officials, delaying restarts, provoking opponents, and turning difficult matches into wrestling shows. None of that proves corruption, sure, but when controversial decisions also begin falling in Argentina's favor, the behavior makes every decision more difficult for the opposing team to accept. And the match that changed this perception of Argentina more than any other took place in Qatar. The quarterfinal between Argentina and the Netherlands was already tense before the teams even entered the stadium. Dutch coach Louis van Gaal had questioned Lionel Messi's contribution when Argentina did not have the ball. He also suggested that the Netherlands would have an advantage if the match reached a penalty shoot. Those comments then reached the Argentina dressing room, and Messi later made it clear that he considered Van Gaal's words disrespectful. So this was not simply a quarter-final between two strong teams. Argentina entered the match wanting to eliminate the Netherlands and answer Van Gaal personally. The Dutch knew that. From the opening minutes, both teams challenged aggressively over decisions and complained to referee Antonio Matel Lajos. And instead of calming the match early, Lajos allowed the confrontations to build and build. In the 35th minute, Messi produced the first decisive moment. He received the ball outside the penalty area with several Dutch players in front of him. Nahuel Molina began making a run between the defenders. Messi passes the ball perfectly into Molina's path. Molina scores. Argentina led 1-0. No controversies so far, but shortly afterwards, Messi was involved in one of the first disputed incidents. During a Dutch attack, Messi deliberately reached towards the ball and handled it. The referee awarded the Netherlands a free kick, but he did not show Messi a yellow card. The Dutch players immediately complained, as it should have been a direct yellow card since Messi interrupted an attack. Messi then later received a yellow card for another foul. Could this have become a second yellow and a red card? Well, it's a question many people have asked. Though the failure to book Messi at first foul gave Dutch supporters a reason to believe they were being treated unequally. In the second half, Marcos Acuna entered the Dutch penalty area and went down, following contact from Denzel Dumfries. The referee pointed to the spot. Messi converted the penalty, and Argentina now led 2-0. Messi ran towards the Dutch technical area, stopped in front of Van Gaal, and placed his hands behind his ears. This gesture was known as the Topo Gigio celebration. It was Messi's response to Van Gaal's pre-match comments about Messi's average performance. Argentina was in control of the score, but the celebration made the match even more personal. Things started to get heated as the Dutch bench also reacted. Argentina's players continued provoking their opponents, and the tension that Lajos had failed to control was becoming more dangerous. Van Gaal responded by changing the way the Netherlands played. Instead of trying to pass through Argentina, the Dutch began sending long balls towards Wout Weghorst. Weghorst was tall, physical, and difficult for Argentina's defenders to control in the air. In the 83rd minute, he headed the Netherlands back into the match, and the score was now 2-1. Argentina had been comfortable only minutes earlier. Now its players began slowing restarts, holding the ball after fouls, and reacting angrily whenever the Netherlands tried to play quickly. Argentina became became more defensive as the Dutch started to push for another goal. And then Leandro Paredes did something so silly that turned a bad-tempered match into a full-on war. Paredes committed a leg tackle on Nathan Ake and brought him down near the touchline. The referee blew the whistle for the foul. Instead of leaving the ball, Paredes turned and kicked it at full force towards the Netherlands bench. And from there, everyone lost their mind and the flood of yellow cards started. All of the Dutch players and staff jumped out of the technical area in anger. Virgil van Dijk ran directly at Paredes and knocked him to the ground with his shoulder. Players and coaching staff rushed into the confrontation. For several seconds, the entire area besides the pitch was filled with pushing, shouting, and players trying to reach one another. Paredes had already committed a reckless foul. Kicking the ball into the Dutch technical area had no connection to the match. It was a deliberate provocation. The referee booked Paredes, and he also booked Van Dijk for retaliating. But the Dutch believed Paredes should have been sent off due to the violent foul and kicking the ball towards the bench, while Argentina's supporters asked why forcefully knocking an opponent down was also punished with only a booking. And by this point, neither side trusted the referee, guys. When the fourth official announced 10 minutes of added time, the anger, it changed sides. Despite trying their best to waste time, Argentina's players, they protested because they believed the Netherlands was being given too much time to find an equalizer. The Dutch believed Argentina's delays, substitutions, injuries, and confrontations justified the decision. Deep into stoppage time, though, the Netherlands received a free kick just outside Argentina's penalty area. Then Toyn Koopmeiners rolled the ball along the ground into the box. Weghorst moved behind the ball, controlled it, and scored. Now we're 2-2. The Dutch bench, they would celebrate. Fearing a comeback, though, Argentina's players surrounded the referee. Now Argentina believed Lajos was helping the Netherlands, and it's one of the most revealing details of the entire match here. The Dutch thought that Messi and Argentina were being protected, while Argentina thought the referee had extended the game to allow the Dutch to equalize. And it shows that Lajos had lost the confidence of both teams, mainly due to poor refereeing so far. Argentina recovered during extra time and created the better chances, but neither team scored. The match went to penalties here at this point. Emiliano Martinez saved the Netherlands' first two attempts. Then when Lautaro Martinez scored the winning penalty, Argentina's players did not all turn immediately towards their goalkeeper or supporters. Instead, several turned towards the Netherlands players and started celebrating provokingly. They shouted, raised their arms, and celebrated directly in front of the defeated team. And guys, the most famous photograph from the match shows the Dutch standing together while Argentina's players taunt them from only a few meters away. It's a beautiful sport where opponents normally console each other after the game, but this time, the hostility had continued after the result was already decided. And the confrontation, it didn't end there. While Messi was being interviewed, he looked away from the reporter and shouted towards Weghorst, "What are you looking at, fool?" The clip of Messi, well, it kinda went viral, no surprise, and Messi did not hold back and criticized Van Gaal's pre-match comments about him. Argentinian goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez went a step further and said that the Dutch coach should keep his mouth shut. The Dutch, though, they gave the opposite version. Frankie de Jong said Lajos appeared to change his behavior when Argentina complained and suggested that the referee was too influenced by Messi. The match produced an extraordinary number of cards, with some sources listing up to 18 total cards, making it the most violent match of the World Cup. Denzel Dumfries was eventually sent off after receiving a second yellow during the post-match confrontations, and FIFA later opened disciplinary proceedings involving both teams. Then, months after the tournament, Dutch coach Van Gaal made a much more serious accusation. He suggested that events at the 2022 World Cup had been arranged to allow Messi and Argentina to become champions. That statement, guys, it received worldwide attention because it came from the other Netherlands coach. Even Netherlands captain Virgil van Dijk distanced himself from the accusation and said he did not share Van Gaal's opinion. The footage, it clearly shows inconsistent refereeing, I can't say that word, deliberate provocation, and poor behavior, mainly from Argentina players. And from here, guys, things only got worse for Argentina's reputation, especially in the matches we're about to show you. Alright, so 4 years later, Argentina faced Egypt in the knockout stage of this year's 2026 World Cup. This match was different from the confrontation with the Netherlands, though. There was still tension, but the main dispute was not about a brawl or players provoking one another. It was about VAR. Egypt believed 3 major decisions went in the favor of Argentina, costing them the win: a disallowed disallowed goal, a rejected penalty appeal, and a disputed challenge shortly before Argentina's winning goal. And guys, the controversy became serious enough for the Egyptian Football Association to submit a formal complaint. Egypt here, they began as the underdog, but it played aggressively and dominated the game in the starting half. Soon, Yasser Ibrahim gave Egypt the lead. Argentina, they struggled to control Egypt's counterattacks and appeared vulnerable whenever Mohamed Salah and the Egyptian forwards found space. Then Egypt put the ball into the net again. Zico finished the move, and Egypt's players celebrated the 2-goal lead. Well, at least it's what they believed. But while they were celebrating, VAR began reviewing an incident that had happened much earlier in the build-up to the second goal. Before Egypt moved forward, Marwan Attia had challenged Lisandro Martinez near the other end of the pitch. The referee had allowed play to continue. Egypt then advanced the ball, completed several passes, and eventually scored through Zico. VAR reviewed the earlier challenge and advised the referee that Attia had fouled Martinez. The goal was disallowed. This was another moment in the World Cup where even neutral fans reacted and accused Argentina of being favored by referees. Egypt complained that too much football had taken place between the challenge and the goal. Argentina had recovered its defensive shape and the ball had traveled a considerable distance. Several players had become involved in the move. To people watching, the original incident no longer appeared to be part of the immediate goal-scoring action. Some television analysts, they made the same point, by the way. They argued that VAR had traveled too far back through the move to find a reason to disallow the goal. But FIFA's refereeing officials, however you say that word, they defended the intervention. Their position was that the foul occurred during the same attacking phase and directly contributed to Egypt gaining the possession from which it scored. So there are two controversies here. Was it a foul? And even if it was it still close enough to the goal for VAR to intervene? For Egypt, the answer to both questions appeared to favor Messi and his team. Soon after that incident, Egypt responded by scoring again. Zico found the net for a second time, and this goal was allowed. And now Egypt led with 2-0. Argentina was facing elimination until Cristian Romero pulled 1 goal back. Then Messi scored the equalizer. The match entered its final minutes at 2-2, with Egypt attempting to survive Argentina's pressure while still looking for opportunities on the counterattack. And that was when the 2 penalty disputes occurred. During an Egyptian attack, you see, Hamdi Fathi went down inside Argentina's penalty area following contact involving Alexis McAllister. Egypt's players, they appealed for a penalty. The referee allowed play to continue. VAR did not even bother to review, and the officials apparently decided that the contact was normal and not strong enough to justify a penalty. But Egypt compared it with the challenge that had canceled Zico's goal. If contact near the opposite end of the field was serious enough for VAR to overturn a goal, why was contact inside Argentina's penalty area not considered serious enough for a review? Well, if you asked that question, you're smart, and this raised serious concerns about the referee and FIFA favoring Argentina. Egypt believed the standard had changed depending on which team would benefit. Egyptian fans were in disbelief, and allegedly another poor refereeing incident happened. Did I say it right that time? I don't know. But anyway, Mohamed Salah received the ball and attempted to turn away from Julian Alvarez. Alvarez challenged him, Salah went down, and Egypt appealed for a foul. The referee again, though, allowed play to continue without any review. Only moments later, Enzo Fernandez scored, and now Argentina led 3-2. And Egypt's players immediately surrounded the officials. From their perspective, VAR had rewound a long Egyptian attack to cancel Zico's goal, but when Salah went down shortly after Argentina's winning attack, the incident was not given any attention? Why? Well, some post-match analysts believed the challenge should have been reviewed more carefully, but FIFA's refereeing leadership defended the decision, and they described the incident as normal football contact that did not reach the threshold for a foul. That was the official explanation, but Egypt had now experienced all 3 disputed decisions, all in favor of Argentina. Its goal was canceled, its penalty appeal was rejected, and Argentina's winning attack was allowed to continue after Salah went down. Egypt coach Hassam Hassan was furious after the match. He said the result was not fair. He argued that Egypt had scored a legitimate goal and should have received a penalty. The Egyptian Football Association filed a formal complaint with FIFA. It questioned the use of VAR, the consistency of the decisions, and the poor performance of the referee. That formal complaint, by the way, it made controversy, guys, and it made that controversy more substantial than ordinary complaints on social media. Former players, analysts, even my buddy Eric, they questioned questioned the decisions. Some argued that Zico's goal should have stood because the earlier challenge was too far removed from the finish. Others said that if VAR was going to use such a strict interpretation against Egypt, it should have applied the same standard to the latter contact involving Fatih and Salah. But FIFA disagreed. Its refereeing officials said that the foul before Zico's goal remained part of the attacking phase. They said the later penalty appeal did not contain enough contact, and they said the challenge on Salah was legal. This is what made the match so difficult to settle. Egypt's argument was based on consistency. FIFA's explanation was based on treating each incident individually. Both sides were looking at the same footage, but to many, the result still seems unfair. The strongest case against the officiating comes from the match footage itself. How far VAR went back before canceling the goal, the level of contact required for that decision, and whether the same level was applied inside Argentina's penalty area. Then Argentina's 2026 semi-final game against England came with a dark history that no other opponent carried. You see, my friends, in the 1986 World Cup, Diego Maradona scored against England with his hand. The referee missed it. Only minutes later, Maradona dribbled through the England defense and scored one of the greatest goals in World Cup history. Argentina, they won 2-1. For England, the match became a permanent example of injustice. And 40 years later, the two countries met again, in a match full of emotions and controversial moments. When Enzo Fernandez escaped a booking for an early challenge, comparisons with Argentina's previous controversies began almost right away. You see, early in the match, Fernandez challenged Elliot Anderson and caught the England midfielder late. The referee awarded the foul but did not show a yellow card. England's players, they complained. Even former referees and television analysts later argued that Fernandez should have been booked. Later in the match, Anderson challenges Messi. Straight yellow card, no warnings, nothing. England supporters compared the two incidents and argued that Argentina had been allowed to make tactical fouls without receiving the same punishment. This was a legitimate refereeing debate and the first controversial moment of the match. Now on to the 55th minute, Anthony Gordon scored for England. Now England is leading 1-0 and was approximately half an hour away from the World Cup final. And until that point, England had competed well. Its midfield had disrupted Argentina. Its forwards had created problems on the counterattack. But after taking the lead, Thomas Tuchel changed the team's approach. England withdrew an attacking player. It moved towards a back five defensive structure. The plan was to protect the lead. Instead, it allowed Argentina to take control of the match. After the tactical change, England stopped pressing Argentina high up the pitch. Whenever England cleared the ball, Argentina recovered possession and attacked again. During the critical period after Gordon's goal, England had very little possession and rarely reached Argentina's penalty area. Messi began receiving the ball with more time. Argentina's full backs moved even higher. England was now attempting to defend its lead for the remainder of the match rather than extending it. Then, in the 85th minute, oh boy, Messi found space and created the chance from which Enzo Fernandez equalized. 1-1. England now needed to recover mentally and push forward again, but the team remained deep. Argentina continued attacking, and in the second minute of stoppage time, Messi created another opening. Lautaro Martinez scored. Argentina led 2-1. In less than 2 minutes, guys, England had gone from protecting a place in the final to being eliminated. England's players were still understandably angry with the referee. Referee camera footage captured Jude Bellingham confronting the officials and describing some of the decisions as shocking. Argentinian players did not make it any easier for anyone and again celebrated provokingly, right in the face of many English players. Then, in a clip circulating online, Bellingham was seen slapping an Argentinian player after the celebration. There were many exchanges after the final whistle, and many genuinely believed the officiating had been piss poor. Some Argentinian players went too far and celebrated with banners saying the Falklands are Argentine, claiming the English island. FIFA, they opened an investigation for the incident, which many believe Argentina players will again get away with. Across these 3 matches, millions felt that Argentina was being favored by the referee. Against the Netherlands, the referee failed to control an increasingly hostile match, allegedly showing mercy towards Argentinian players. Messi escaped a possible red card for deliberate handball. Paredes kicked the ball towards the Dutch bench after a crazy foul, but only a yellow card. Players from Argentina attempted to provoke opponents throughout the match, even after the final whistle. Many ended the night believing the referee had favored Messi and Mexico. Against Egypt, the dispute centered on VAR, a goal canceled unworthy, while similar incidents involving Argentina went unnoticed by the referee. That match, it raises serious questions about the consistency of referee decisions. Against England, Argentina benefited from a referee who appeared reluctant to show early cards, which caused outrage as the match progressed. To make matters worse, behavior of Argentina players has not helped their case. Provocative celebrations and no regards for the opponent left many in disgust. Looking at these incidents, it does explain why distrust has grown, right? Argentina's players are extremely good at turning football matches into psychological battles. They crowd officials, they provoke opponents and often respond aggressively when provoked, and they are comfortable playing inside the kind of chaos that causes other teams to lose concentration. Some say it's poor sportsmanship, and when controversial refereeing decisions are added to that behavior, the majority of football fans now feel that the contest is no longer equal. The players begin to feel that they were not only fighting Argentina's 11 players, but something more dark and bigger. Whether that feeling was justified is the question at the center of this video, because sometimes the biggest question is not simply who won, it is whether both teams were given the same chance to win. Were these simply separate examples of poor refereeing? Or do you believe the repeated controversies suggest something bigger is behind all of this? So just bad luck or something bigger? Tell us what you think in the comments below and subscribe to our channel for more investigations into the controversies, technology, and hidden decisions shaping world football. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.